Hey there guys, this is Rina and you are watching MoneyWise, and we are having all access into June Gachui, and in this video I want to ask a question that actually relates to money. Finally, we are getting to the money.
We like money.
We do.
Yeah.
So I got a question from a friend, and he was part of a production that was actually airing on TV in Kenya. And this production was done, finished, and then a couple of, maybe a year or so later, was showing or being shown in another country, actually in several countries in Europe. But they didn't get paid any royalties, didn't get paid anything. I want to talk about intellectual property and the importance of making sure that your stuff is protected in some way. Can we talk about that a bit?
Yeah,
like
sure.
what do artists, people who create stuff from their minds, whether that's a book, music, a production, a film, what advice would you have for them so that they can, make maximum revenue on the creative stuff that they produce?
I mean, the first thing I usually tell groups of I call them creative entrepreneurs, and I like to introduce them to themselves like that, because I ask them why they create. And the why is very important, because then what you do after you've answered the why determines a lot of things. If you create because it makes you happy and you're just fine with that, and it's a nice hobby, and it makes you just feel happy, then that's fine, and then stay there. If you want to earn a living from this thing, like it's your God-given gift that now can help you support yourself and your family, then you have to be a little bit more serious about it. And then you now have a 4-step process that we like to call you create, you protect, you exploit, and you monetize. So that's our 4-step process at JGIP. And the reason we approach it that way, because it's simple to understand. The creative process is whatever it is for whomever we are giving advice or guiding through their journey. Once they've created, we now have a product, a work product, whether it's a song or a book or a design for a new bottle or some jewelry or whatever it is that they've done. And then now they want to find a way to protect it. And basically intellectual property is that. It's an area of law that allows you to protect the things you have created through the genius of your mind. So if it's a new fashion brand, or if it's a new bottle design, which would be a subject of industrial property, for example, or industrial designs, you would then want to know, how do I protect this thing so that it is mine, and I'm feeling confident and safe enough to then go and exploit it and sell it and distribute it and make money from it, to the exclusion of others, because that's really what IP is. It seeks to give you exclusive rights, and that's the first thing I think most creatives need to understand, that it's not enough for you to just say, but it's mine. You better do something about it, because ideas are not protected. And that sometimes is a difficult thing for creatives to absorb. We don't protect ideas in IP because ideas are generic. And by that I mean, you and I could have the exact same idea at the exact same time, and nobody copied the other.
It's true.
Right? So you can write a book about money, and I can write a book about money.
Do you know, June?
Yes.
This is so weird. Actually, after I had completed my book, it was printed, it was sold, it was about 9 to 10 months in. I found out that there's another book that was done before mine. I think a year before, with the exact same name. MoneyWise, but that one says how to create, grow, and preserve wealth. Believe it or not. And coming up with that name for me was what? It was such a process. Mine is MoneyWise, create, grow, and preserve wealth. The only difference between the two books is the how to and the color. Can you believe that? And the author, the other guys, I don't know, Michael, somebody's a name, a guy rather. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, am I going to get sued? This guy has the same name. I don't know what to do.
But he would have to prove, you had access to his book,
I promise
and that you copied it.
I did not see it
That's
until
the test.
like 10 months later.
And that's my point. Like, when we say I had that idea before, it's okay. You can have a million. In fact, there's an imagery I use in our presentations that has this guy minding his business, walking, and then he's got that light bulb of the idea, and then there's a burglar with a net. sort of just collecting these ideas, because that's all they are. What we protect in IP is the expression of that idea.
Okay.
So you can have, like, you know, both of us are writing a song about love. So you write your song about love, I'll write my song about love. Our lyrics will be different. Of course, the word love might feature in yours and mine. I can't say you copied me because you used the word love. It wasn't mine to own anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. So finding out what is it in your creative process that is even worthy of IP protection, because some things you just say, yeah, I created it, but there's nothing to protect here. And understanding that for a lot of creatives, it would save us a lot of pain and heartache and despair if we just took a few minutes to understand that and decide that this one I feel is the money one, like it's the one that could generate. So then how I behave with it is very different. I want to protect it. I don't start telling everybody about it until I'm sure I've got my copyright certificate, or if it's a subject of trademark, I've protected the trademark, or if it's a subject of industrial design, I've done the protection registration process, and it's ongoing, and I have a certificate in my possession. Then I can start saying I want to exploit it. Exploiting could be marketing. It could be telling people this thing exists. And when we say exploit, sometimes we interpret it in a negative sense, that people are taking advantage of me, as opposed to the thing is yours. Take advantage of it. Yeah. So we call it reclaiming the word exploit, because you should be able to do that if you want to generate either some notoriety or some revenue. And then finally monetizing, which allows the creative entrepreneur to make money from this thing. So either you could license it, which means I own, but I give you permission to use. So if I say, Rina, look, I'm going to start a workshop series about IP, but I think it's important maybe to use a few of your chapters as part of my workshop. You would license the permission, you'd give me the permission to use chapter 4 and 6 of your book. And say, okay, since people are paying you for the workshop, can I take 10 or 15% off of whatever they're paying you, because the material you're teaching belongs to me. Then I'll say, maybe 15% is a lot. So we negotiate our license fee. I say, how about I make them buy the book? How about that? Yeah. So then you keep 100% of the revenue. Does that make sense? I have 100 people coming through. That's 100 books you wouldn't have sold if so we negotiate, but you own your IP, you own your property, I keep mine.
Okay.
But then we agree how to share licensing revenue. Versus, I want to own the thing you have created, which means there's a direct and complete transfer of ownership from one thing to the other. For example, I go and get a graphic designer to design my logo for me. I don't expect them to keep my logo and use it. It is mine. So when I pay you, all IP rights pass over to me. I can then take my logo and trademark it and say, this is the JGIP brand and the JGIP logo. So understanding what's the difference between a license and an outright assignment or purchase. Both of them can earn you revenue. But even if you haven't protected this thing, you have no right to even
a logo, you would protect that?
Yes, I would protect my logo.
Wow. Can we go through a few examples, if you don't mind? Like, no practically,
sure.
What are the steps you should take so that then somebody knows they need to license or purchase what it is that you've created?
Yeah.
So let's start with the graphic designer. The graphic designer is designing the cover of my book, my next book, for example, or your next album.
Yes.
What should they do as they're working, or once they're done with the creative process?
Yeah.
So that they protect their work.
Okay, so we would call that in IP a work made for hire, meaning you had no thought of it before I came to you.
Right.
So the only reason you created this thing is because I commissioned you to do so. So by virtue of the fact that I commissioned you, we have a phrase where we say, he who commissions owns.
Okay.
And the condition is that I must pay you.
I see.
So if you walk into a designer's office and he has 20 different pieces of artwork that he had done before you showed up, and you say, I really think that one, like it marries so well with what it is my book is talking about, then you are now having a discussion about owning or licensing from him or her one of the things they already owned before you walked in. That the way the relationship is born determines what you have IP control over and what. And most people, like it passes us by. Yeah. So if you walk in and you see 10 different designs, the way I shared earlier about the producer who had his tracks. and I listened to them and I went, oh my gosh, I think I have lyrics for this. We now share the final product, which is the recorded work, 50-50. Okay. Because without his track, I wouldn't have thought of lyrics. So without that painting, maybe your next book would not have had a cover. As opposed to walk in and say, you have nothing that I like, I want you to create something. Yeah. So everything you do from this moment on will belong to me.
Okay.
And so their right is to get paid.
Okay.
That is they have no IP rights. They have a right to be paid for the work that they do.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the thing existed before, then the ownership would rest with the person who created it, and they are the ones who determine whether they want to sell it to you or license it to you or say no, because that's also an option.
They work.
Yes.
Okay. So let's say I am a thespian.
Yes.
Well, maybe an actor.
Okay.
And I'm involved in a film.
Yep.
Right. And the contract is this film is going to be aired on TV on these stations, and then suddenly it's been 2 years, and now it's on a channel being aired all over Africa, all over Europe, and I'm getting nothing for it. What is it I should have done prior to signing up for this work to ensure that the person who owns it then sort of has an obligation to pay me?
Yeah. So that one is a little trickier. So what happens is, up until 2012, most actors would get paid for their time on set. Okay? So I hire you to be a cast member in my show as the producer of this show. So you are character, Shirley, in this production, and you're a supporting actress. So you're not like a main featured act or whatever it is. So there's rate cards based on how big or prominent your role is. Yes. All right. So I'll say I'm going to give you a contract because I want you in the next 13 episodes for varied amount of times, right, depending on the script and the storyline. But this is going to be your character for the entire season, okay? And I will pay you X amount of money based on the fact that it's a supporting role and the lead character is getting this amount, so I can't pay you more, blah, 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 okay? And then you will argue with me or negotiate with me, and you'll say, but do you know how awesome I am? Do you know I'm like Meryl Streep in America? I am the Meryl Streep of Kenya. Yes. So even though that person is the lead actress, I think the work I've done, this your movie will do well. So I can negotiate with you and say, even though I am in a supporting actress role, I think my experience and my reputation makes me have the right to negotiate for a higher payment from you. Okay? Then what do you have to do in return? You have to give me what is called my moral right, which is you can put my name there in the credits, give me credit for the work I have done.
Okay.
You can, and we can agree on the font size and whose name it comes before, if it's alphabetical or it's just featuring June, and then everybody else is So those are negotiation points, okay? But really, I have a right to be paid, and I have a right to use a little bit of my notoriety and my fame and my skill to negotiate for a better pay package, and that's about it.
Okay.
Unless I wrote the script, or participated in writing the screenplay, or paid for the production, right? Those are the people who we give more rights to. Now, I mentioned 2012 earlier because there was a treaty signed in Beijing for audiovisual performers. And ironically, for those who are listening, watching, and you're interested in this space, there has been a call by the Senate, I think Senate or National Assembly, to give comments, because now they're preparing to ratify this treaty into Kenyan law.
Okay, but that's a while. That was 2012. We're in 2019.
Yeah, it's okay. The others from 1996 we signed, we have not ratified. So
wow.
We are doing better.
Okay. Sorry.
So, it's happening. We're like, hallelujah. So they've actually put out a call and said, public participation, if you would like to give your comments, this is a good time to do so. So please check it out. And so basically what this treaty said was a group of actors, audiovisual performers who are actors, people you see in music videos, extras in a TV commercial, whatever it could be, said exactly what you're saying. Like, my contribution made this better, made this more popular, helped you make this a blockbuster hit when it was released, when it was launched or whatever. And so there needs to be a little bit more that's given back to me, other than the payment I negotiated with you on the day for the number of days I was on set. that because this is being aired over and over and over again and new markets are being explored, I would like just a portion. And my portion is what we call equitable remuneration.
Okay.
In English, fair payment for the fact that I made your thing so awesome.
Yeah.
And my performance is probably the reason why.
It's been able to sell.
Okay, let me give you a very quick example. Black Panther, right? Everybody watched Black Panther. And it was a great story. It was fun. Very great, like, what do you call it? Like fighting scenes and whatever. So everyone thought, oh yeah, Lupita, yay. And then that T'Challa guy, yay. And then, what's the other lady's name? The other actress, I forget her name, I'm so sorry, but the other cool actress, yay. But the breakout star was who? Was T'Challa's sister. Everybody was talking about this chick with the British accent, but she was so cool and she was like the techie chick and like she was the breakout star. Yes, Lupita was there, but everyone was like, who is that chick? That chick, the next negotiation she goes for, she'll be like, I know you want me to be a supporting actress, but did you watch Black Panther? Have you seen what people are saying about me?
Yeah.
It's going to give her the ammunition she needs to negotiate better.
Okay.
And where her name is placed and what kind of payment bracket she's now in. Okay. However, when this treaty is ratified in the various countries that signed the Audiovisual Performers Treaty, it then says, in addition to the payment you got for being in that movie or in that TV series, when it is aired and the collecting societies of the respective countries collect some money back from the TV stations, a portion of it would go back to the actors to sort of say, like, thank you. It's not the kind of royalty you get because you own the thing.
I see.
The producer still owns the show because it was never yours, but it's a fair payment for your contribution
to the success of it.
So it was a sort of like, let's meet somewhere in the middle. We can't give you IP rights, but we can recognize your contribution through a fair payment. So that's what your friend would be able to do. And in Kenya, we have an organization called PRSC, the Performers' Rights Society of Kenya. And our act had been amended. It's still going through, the Copyright Act is still going through an amendment at the moment. And one of the provisions was equitable remuneration for performers, including the audiovisual performers. So by joining PRSC, which all, performing artists really should be doing if they've recorded works, both audiovisual works and audio, like music works.
They should join.
Even if you did ooh and ah in somebody's album, go and join and say, the album is not mine, this song is not mine, but I contributed by doing ooh and ah or playing the sax solo or playing the drum solo.
What's the registration process?
The registration process, I think, is still the same. Basically, you apply, there's a form that you fill in, a physical form. I don't think it's all online yet. You have to submit your ID, your PIN certificates, your basic details, PO box, like where can people find you, your next of kin information, bank details, and then of course they ask you to sign some declarations that you are telling the truth. Because some people lie, just to be able to get a share. There's a fee. I think PRSC, if I'm not wrong, was it 1,000 bob? Per application. So you're applying to become you're applying to become a member. So that's once. So it's like, then after that, they don't even charge subscription. So once you become a member of the society, it could have gone up. I'll verify, but when I applied, it was 1,000 bob, I think, or was it 3,000? I can't recall now. But I'll check.
It's not a big amount of money.
PRSK.or.ke, so they can check. It's a one-off payment, and so you now get a membership number that says you are a member of this society, and now your job is to keep updating your repertoire. So every time I do anything new, I go back to PRSC and I go, oh, I was also in this. So they now have a repertoire of all the things performer June was involved in, either as an actress or as a singer or a musician or an instrumentalist or whatever it is, right? And then they monitor. So if they're collecting money from radio or TV, they'll monitor and say, okay, so this show was aired, and then it was repeated. So every time there's a rate They have their own formulas as to how they tariff.
They monitor for every single person.
Yeah, so of course they engage companies that already do monitoring. There's a lot of them in Kenya because
like media monitoring.
Yes, there's media monitoring companies that already offer that service. Okay. So they'll pay a license fee to be able to access the reports. What costs money is getting metadata. So you need to know June's name. As opposed to chick who did ooh, flower, chick who carried flowers across the market, like, and so how people are described.
Am I hearing right? Like, so if I've registered and stuff is going out there, my song is being played, money just checks into my bank account?
It should check in if the media houses are paying on time. Right. I mean, there's obviously other factors, but the fact that what you're doing is you're telling the world, I was involved in this thing. And I think that's the thing people forget to do. You assume, but they know me. Yeah. Who knows you?
I'm such a superstar.
Yeah, especially those of us who have like funky like stage names or pseudonyms. They can't pay a pseudonym. Do you have an account written nameless? Where is it? Show me. Who knows? So what is your name? Yes. Who does the government of Kenya recognize you as? Right. Because when we pay, we have to tax you. Yeah. So those are the kind of things that I think helps us to also make this an actual industry, because everybody else is organized. We're the ones still just like misbehaving.
So are there different organizations for different? So this is performance.
Yes, performers.
Performers
in recorded works, and so not people who sing live on stage. Very different.
Okay.
You have to have a product that has been recorded, that can be aired, that can be broadcast, that can be played in a venue over and over and over, like the final thing that can be communicated to the public, as opposed to me standing on a stage with a band. Yeah, that one I get paid my performance fee by the person who hired me, and I go home.
Okay.
If that thing is recorded, if that performance is recorded, and that performance that is recorded gets on TV, and then now there's an advertising revenue thing that happens, then I can go and register and say, okay, I was in that recorded work.
So sorry, I'm just so interested. So there's this Skiza tunes.
Yeah.
And I perform my music. Do I have to be registered with some organization for me to earn revenue from Skiza?
So Skiza is a little different. Okay, it's a little different.
Let's not go there.
Yeah.
So then there's these other organizations.
Yes.
So if I'm
performers are at PRSC, Performers Rights Society of Kenya. Then the producers or the record labels are at CAMP, the Kenya Association of Music Producers. Yes.
Okay.
And then at the moment it's a little complicated because there are two organizations who've applied. One is the Music Copyright Society of Kenya, and the other one is the Music Publishers Association of Kenya. Both of them were applying for the same set of rights, because you can only have one organization as a collective management organization per class of rights. Meaning, if you're an author, composer, publisher, arranger, we put you in one class. If you're a performer or a musician or a session musician, we put you in a second class. If you're a producer or a record label or an independent producer, we put you in a different class. So in Kenya, we have three classes, but technically there are four bodies. And at the moment, we're waiting for the government organization to make the decision as to who will get the license for this year.
Okay. Wow. Guys, if you are a performing artist, producer, all those things she has mentioned, could you please register? Register. You have no excuse. 1,000, 3,000, one-off fee that could earn you so much.
I think that the most expensive one is 5,000 bob.
That's not much. 5,000 is not much. I mean, please, no excuses. Don't say you're broke because you're a musician. No, there's ways to make money.
How much money have people spent on the software and on the gadget they are recording with?
Right.
So it's really a decision that starts with us. What have you valued as a higher IP? So most people go and say my camera and my microphone are of higher value because I know how much I paid for them. Yeah, and that's part of the problem. I think if we don't know how to value our IP, we put zero next to it until it has brought us money. Yet I can put a value to all the years of experience, right, and education, and say for every hour, my hour is worth X. So if it took me 25 hours to create this one song, it's 25 times whatever my value is, times whatever the photographer charged me, whatever investment I made starts to become a value component, a value factor in the equation that then tells me the value of this. I should one day, Rina, be able to go to the bank and tell them, do you know how much this thing is? Not what you're paying for it or what you guys are paying me for it, but what the collective talent and skill and investment in this project was. And then tell the bank, I need a loan against this thing. And they'll be like, well, how sure are we? I'm like, you don't worry.
The money will come.
Yeah, because that's the conversation we have. They want to know the land was valued at this, so I can take your property as collateral because I know how the valuation of this land in Runda was done.
Is that being done? Valuing IP?
It's starting to happen. It's starting to happen, but mostly like tax advisors are doing it. So they're not necessarily delving into it from the point of view of, it's more like if I want to include this in my audited accounts, like I want to say the way software is like an intangible.
Oh, goodwill, like how do you include that?
It's still very frou-frou. So we need to do a lot more in terms of what are the parameters, and there are formulas out there. There are formulas about how one can value their IP. And then we should even have like a little stock exchange of IP things, whether it's your brand or your mark, and we can see, the value of the GE brand went up or went down this year because of A, B, C, D, E. It's no different than the stock market. At all. Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Wow. I don't know what to say except that if you have listened to this conversation, you know you need to do something, but you're not too sure what you should do, contact JGIP. And your number is?
Well, they can go on the website and send us an email. We're at jgipconsultants with an s.co.ke. We're also on Facebook. We have a page. So if you would like to like our page and send us a message, we'll receive it. And if we need to schedule a consultation, our rates are reasonable. So just come, let's have a conversation and hopefully be able to help you out.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yay. So let's go out there and make some money. This is Rina Hicks with June Gachui of JGIP, the serious June. Take care and God bless. Subscribe. There's more coming.